I remember one time after a game that we had lost. It was a JV game, football game, and I was on the sideline picking up the equipment, the footballs, and all that stuff. And apparently my countenance was not very pleasant, and a well-intending mom approached me and said, "Coach Prasick, I'm so sorry that we lost tonight, but in a way, it's good that we lose now and then because after all, these boys will face defeat in their lives ahead, and they need to learn how to lose." Well, whatever I was holding in my hands went thud to the ground, and I looked up at that well-intending mom and said, "You're right. These boys will encounter defeats in their life. I just don't want to ever hear that any one of them said, 'I learned how to lose from Coach Prasick.'" Reflecting on that time, I'm ashamed of what I said. The woman was trying to lift my spirits and be an encouragement to me. And I was wrong. Life is not a series of victory after victory unbroken by any defeat. Defeat is an ingredient in the recipe of life. So I wanted to take a few moments to sort of redeem myself for my arrogant answer to that well-intending mom, and let's talk about dealing with defeat. And there's 5 things that come to my mind. Defeat always hurts. Always. You don't set out to lose any competition. You set out to win. So defeat hurts psychologically. But that is the least of the hurt. There are times when that hurt is amplified and magnified. One of them is when you lose when you were expected to easily win. In sports, that's called an upset. Now, I don't know why they call it an upset, because only half the people are upset, the ones that lost. Everybody else is jubilant about it. But losing when you were expected to win is especially painful because you realize that you failed in more ways than in the score. You failed in your effort. You failed in your preparation. You failed in your assessment of the enemy, of the opponent. You did not take them seriously. It's also hard to lose a close game. All of us have participated even as a spectator and experienced the enormous sense of loss in a close game because there was always hope that you could win the game in the final moments. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is after the defeat, you look back and you find moment after moment after moment throughout the game, and you begin second guessing, saying, if only I would have done this, if only we would have done that, if only the referee wouldn't have done this. The second guessing continues and continues and endures long after the pain of the defeat normally would have subsided. High stakes games are incredibly hard to lose. You can lose every game in your regular season except for the district game and still win. But a district game, you must win those. Those are must-haves. And to go down in defeat when the stakes are higher, it's sort of like the higher you are, the further down you go splat when you fall. High stakes games are hard to lose because the stakes are higher. That's what it says, high stakes games. The one I want to talk about the most is the one that I don't think much attention is paid to. It's losing without the chance of redemption. Well, what is that? Well, if you're a spectator and you play the rival team this year and you lose, it'll go something like this. Well, wait till next year. If you are a freshman, a sophomore, or a junior, and you experience defeat, you have next week's game. But think about the senior on the team the final game of the year, whether it's regular season or that high-stakes game of postseason playoff games. When you lose that game, there is no hope for redemption. And one begins to allow that loss to define yourself. Wrongfully so. Zig Ziglar, I think, is the one that said, a man like a tree is easier to measure when down. See, I think the mistake that we coaches tend to make is that we tend to amp up the notion of winning as being what defines us as a team and defines us as a person, when in fact it is our character that defines us. So the question should then become, how do you conduct yourself as a winner? I have seen teams that have won that, in my opinion, conduct themselves very poorly. And I would not count them in the ranks of championship, regardless of how many games they win. I have seen coaches that set aside everything in their life and sacrifice everything in their life to coach successfully. They neglect their family. They neglect their finances. They neglect their church. Victory at that price is no victory at all. I have seen teams and coaches after a defeat that have acted in such a way that let me know that they not only lost the score, that they are truly losers in life. The phrase, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game, while it may have some merit, I think what would be more important is it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you conduct yourself before, during, and afterwards that count, because that is your core principles. That is who you are at your very core. Let's make sure that whether in victory or in defeat, others see the love of Christ in us.